1077 KNYO LP, Fort Bragg. I'm Joe Kidd. I'm going to be with you guys till 9 o'clock. It's now time for an exclusive hour of broadcast, Fort Bragg, USA, featuring Paul McCarthy and Rex Gresset. We're going to talk about the highly discussed locally proposed shopping center, the Hare Creek Center. I have these guys in studio. How are you guys doing?
Good.
All right. Well, our news bumper's almost run out. I like this classic stuff. It reminds me of like NBC Nightly News or something.
Better.
All right, you guys. Well, how do you want to introduce this? You want to go straight in, or you want to give me some background, or
Well, why don't we introduce ourselves, then you can flip the coin.
Okay, let's go.
All right, I'm Paul McCarthy. I run Mendocino Sports Plus. Came here. I'm a New Hampshire native. Lived there 40 years before I smartened up and moved out here. Been living in Elk, of course, and I've been watching this with mixed feelings. This whole debacle with the Hare Creek Mall. I'm from the Live Free and Die state, and I'm a little confused at what's going on here. And I just want to let listeners know that I don't know who the Patton family is, who's proposing this. I've never met any of the Patton family. I wouldn't know what a Patton looks like if they put a picture in the newspaper. So
maybe one of them's a general.
Yeah, right, exactly. The only Patton I know was in World War II. So with that, I'll let Rex introduce himself.
Yeah, Rex Gresset. I write for the AVA, is my claim to distinction, modest as it may be. But I walk my dogs, for one thing, out there, and I live nearby Hare Creek, and it's very important property to me, a very important decision that we have to make as a community, and I think that there are some things about it that need to be said, and Paul is the right guy to be defending the constitutional prerogatives of the owner. I'm sure he'll be articulate, and I have some things that I want to say about it from my end of things. So yeah, Rex Gresset.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to flip
a
coin.
They care who starts first. I don't even want to start first, but they're going to make me flip a coin.
Paul gave me the coin, and I investigated it. It's not double head side.
Okay.
I'll call it.
I don't even know how to flip a coin.
I'll call it.
I'll just flip it up in the air. All right.
Heads.
Call it. Heads.
Heads
Okay,
it is.
good. There you go.
All right. I'll go first. All right. Well, a little background on it. The Hare Creek Center, as proposed, it's across the street from the Boatyard Plaza, Highway 20s and Highway 1. And what they're proposing is 29,500 square feet, 3 buildings, all right, anchored by a grocery outlet, discount food store, something that's sorely lacking in our area. There's one building that's going to be 15,000 square feet, another building that's 10,000 square feet, and a third building, 4,500 square feet. A modest proposal, all right, for a commercially zoned parcel, all right? We have all these people saying, oh, my goodness, it's pristine land. No, it isn't. It's commercial land. It has been the object of many proposals going back 25 years or more. And I hear these people complaining about
Whining. Go ahead and say whining.
It is whining, all right? It reminds me back in Salem, New Hampshire, where I come from. We have an amusement park called Cannibal Lake Park, all right? People would buy homes near it and then complain that they could hear the kids screaming on the roller coaster, all right? Don't buy the property near everyone knows this area is going to be developed, all right? You can look at the Emerald Dolphin Inn. This pristine land, this alleged pristine land, has a mini golf and a 43-room, 5-suite hotel on it. All right? This isn't pristine land. And then I hear, the scenic hill, the hill that's on there. And they give visions of the indigenous pomos coming and eating abalone while looking at the whale. No. All that hill was made from the Hahn farm at the boatyard. They scraped the dirt, brought it across the street, and piled it up. So much for ruining their
fake
vision.
Hill. You're calling my hill a fake hill.
Yeah, it's a fake hill. I mean, come on. And anyway, all this guy does, The Patton family, from my point of view, is the Rodney Dangerfield of Fort Bragg. All right, they get no respect. They put up a sign saying, "Please, no banners." No, and what do? They go and put the banners up. All right, it's an eyesore. And then I hear these people.
You mean
saying,
the election banners? You're talking about.
Not the election. It's anything. It's symphony. And then the other people are saying it's the gateway to Fort Bragg. Well, the majority of these people, they strike me as hill muffins or serial protesters.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that.
Socialist wackos.
The Albion Nation.
Yeah, the fruits and nuts of the coast. It's like turning on a light and these moths come towards it. And this was the light that turned on that got all these fruitcakes out of the woods to come down and protest a commercial project on commercial property. I mean, they complained about everything from they don't like the food that grocery outlet has. All right, it's just ridiculous. But anyway, I'll just hold it there because I have more.
All right.
Go ahead, Rex,
I'm taking a few punches here. I'm ready to get back in it. All right. Okay. Where to begin on that? First of all, it is a commercial property. It's been zoned commercial for forever, and in the course of looking at this property and thinking of what we might be able to do to preserve it, I'll address why it might be preserved. But I would like to first of all say that because it's zoned commercial, that makes it a very tough property to protect. The Land Trust and the Land Trust in Washington, D.C., everybody that I have talked to has sort of written this property off. The Coastal Conservancy, who's the major funder of public land acquisitions, would be the principal person you would go to. And they tell me that it's just not possible because it's zoned commercial. And that gives the property a lot of value. If the Fort Bragg were to change the zoning so that it wasn't commercial anymore, then the property wouldn't be worth as much, and the Pattons would lose millions of dollars, and they can't do that because that's called taking. They can't just zone you into poverty. So the fact that it's a commercial property sets the tone for this whole discussion. And also, being in this august company here has made me a little nervous here, but I'm trying to brace up to it. But
well, I could feel you. Let me take the reins out here. You know, some of the people complain this is the gateway to Fort Bragg, the welcome to Fort Bragg. Well, let's talk about the welcome to Fort Bragg. Let's talk about the Sergeant Emil Evanson Bridge. All right. It looks like something from World War II that was strafed by the Luftwaffe, all right? It looks like the bridge in the final scenes of Saving Private Ryan.
That's the Hare Creek Bridge, right?
It's a charming little bridge. It doesn't need to be replaced.
No, it doesn't. It needs some concrete, all right? It needs some, and I contacted Caltrans about that, saying, are there any plans? They're going to be replacing the Salmon Creek and the Albion Bridge. Now they're talking the Pudding Creek Bridge. The poor Emil Evanson Bridge, built in 1947, is literally falling apart. When you come in there, I don't know structurally how it is. It passed all the tests, but it cosmetically looks awful. All right, and Fort Bragg. Let's face it. All right, Fort Bragg's never going to be a Mendocino-looking place. A Ferndale-looking place. It was a working city, a blue-collar city, a brutish older brother of Mendocino.
All right, that's a good point, Paul.
All right.
That's a good
point.
point.
Since when are we going to start building Taj Mahals?
All right, well, that's a very good point. And the fact is that we have not protected our city like Mendocino has protected their city, or like many cities have protected. We thought of ourselves as being a blue-collar community and a working community, and that's what we are. And let me just go back to this point, since you keep raising it about it being the gateway to Fort Bragg. All right, Highway 20 and Highway 1 converge right at this property. And the impression that one has from it is a sweeping, open, green space from which you can see the ocean. And I think we've pretty much exhausted.
You can't see the ocean.
You can see the ocean from the top of the hill, and I see
fake
it on,
hill.
Right. Well, it might be fake, but you can see the ocean from it. And on more than that, this is a coastal property. I don't say that it's a coastal property in the sense that the Coastal Conservancy is going to protect it, but it's a coastal property aesthetically. When you're out on that, I just came from there a few minutes ago, well, a couple of hours ago, and it is most definitely is pristine. That they have built in one corner of it does not detract from the stunning beauty of this open green space. Now, let's not argue about whether it's whether that sets it apart. You know, it's an open green space. There's lots of open green space. This open green space is the last proximate property to our town. And if we're going to define Fort Bragg, this is where we're going to start doing it. If you really want a big box store, if you really want another shopping center, you could go down to Southern California and have all the big box shopping centers that your heart could ever desire. I don't question that the usefulness of grocery outlet might be real. It might help people to buy groceries, although people have told me in talking about this interview that it would be damaging to Safeway, and Safeway employs a lot of people, so I'm really not sure. But if you look at the impact, at the impression that it makes when you drive into Fort Bragg, and just weigh in your left hand, put a big box shopping center, and then in your right hand, put an open meadow. And then you have to ask yourself, is Fort Bragg worth it? Is this the kind of a thing that we want to do? It's a commercial property, and it's zoned commercially, so people back in the day thought that it was going to be a commercial property. If we're going to change our minds about whether or not this should just be developed, whether they should put up a big box right on our doorstep, if we're going to alter our view and react to this as a community, we have to go down into our hearts and look at a series of properties that are now going to either be developed and trashed or going to be protected.
Oh, here we go.
It's not only.
All right,
it's not only Hare Creek.
Let me kumbaya. Let's go sit around the campfire and listen to the Coast radio station. All right, and listen to James Taylor. All right, listen. Back in the 1990s. All right. You want to talk a big box project? 15,000 square feet is not a big box. All right,
it's enough to ruin the project. It's enough to ruin the meadow.
You know what? Now listen. Let's talk about the original project that was supposed to go back in there. What about 1990, 1992? They proposed a 92,400 square foot Kmart. All right, to go along with. Let me see how many townhouses. Yeah, it was the slab alone was going to be 3,441 square feet, concrete block building. All right, it was going to be called the Hare Creek Village Project. Right. Okay, and let me see how many 70 garden apartments and condos. Right.
So a bad idea back then makes a bad idea now not as bad.
No, but you know what? When I was looking through the old, and I went to the Fort Bragg planning office, I want to say thank you to Scott Perkins, who helped me do a little research here. He's actually he's on leave. I think after today he's getting married. But anyway, it was just bizarre that back then they noticed that 1990 the city financial report said more than approximately $21 million was taken out of town to inland stores. Now that $21 million. Can you imagine what it is now? I mean, that was back in 1990. That's 27 years ago. So people are being forced inland to buy their stuff. Now, grocery outlet, all right? This reminds me of, let's keep everything beautiful, all right? No, it's a commercial lot, all right? It's a
commercial lot unless we decide we want to save it.
All right.
Well, it's a commercial lot that's
$4 million.
That's right, and I'm going to address how we might be able to buy this.
Okay, well, let me just say one thing. Going back to 1990, I looked at the project, the comments to the project. Now, it didn't come about. There was another project that failed because of the Kmart project. Basically, failed because of the no building during a water crisis and all that stuff. But they describe Bayview Road as potholes in search of a road. All right, the whole area. They like to fly their kite there. They're trespassing. All right.
No. The Pattons have allowed public access.
And that's what I mean. They get no respect. Now, whereas the other hotel, the Inn, Emerald Dolphin Inn, gets both sides of the road, a tacky they would have been better with, if they're going to do mini golf, make it look like in the movie Overboard. They could have done something like that. But how much tag? It looks like dog feces with water coming out. And just talk about a water problem. They have a fountain gushing water. I mean,
it's reusing the same water. But I'm not going to defend the Hare Creek by talking about the development that's already occurred. If I had anything to say about it, they wouldn't have built the mini golf course.
Where were you?
I was in New York. I wasn't even on the scene. And
we used to have another mini golf course, by the way. You know where that was?
No.
Down where the shoreline, whatever, shoreline, blah, blah, blah. The old real estate building, across from Botanical Gardens.
I remember now. Every community needs a mini golf course, I guess. But every community needs a meadow. And what I'm talking about, maybe you can call it kumbaya, but I would suggest that we have a serious choice to make. And what we have to look at when we do this is, what is it that we really value? Do we value easy access to groceries? I mean, do we want to be able to go down and buy anything that we want immediately as soon as we decide we want it? Or do we want to remain a rural community? I would say that if the city of Fort Bragg defends its coastal property, going all the way from Hare Creek through the mill site, all the way including Pudding Creek, which is rarely discussed, I would say that these three properties constitute an heirloom to our children. That if we can protect our coastal green open space, if we can find a way to fight hard enough to turn that space into open space, green space, free space, and say no to a big box store that wants to come and take our money someplace else. Safeway takes $46 million out of the community in armored cars. They're bleeding us white. I'm not saying that I can address that problem, but I know that the first thing that you do when you decide you're going to protect a community, when you're going to turn it into some place where you want to live, where you want to be, where you want to raise your kids, is you look around and you take stock of what it is you value. What we value in Mendocino is our ocean. What we value is our air and our sky and our green grass. And the things that contribute to that are vital to our standard of living. And they're not going to be here if we don't fight for them.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. That land, that land is theirs. All right, it's not your land. You're trespassing every time you step on.
We have permission.
Oh,
every time I drive my Suzuki Samurai around back there and spin mud all over the place, and then I pull up to the stoplight and big clops of mud are falling out onto the highway, and I'm having a great time. Yes, I'm trespassing.
Yeah,
you're not technically trespassing because the patents have allowed public access onto that land, and they allowed access not because of the goodness of their hearts, but because they know that if they fence it off like the mill site has been fenced off, it's going to raise pressure for people to do something productive with that land.
No.
Also, though, you need to know that the homeowners.
Well, I'm speculating.
Absolutely.
The homeowners on the back access road, I believe, have bought that right away, which shows that they're not really on board to having any commercial vehicles going back on Bayview.
All right, but let's stay on point, because Paul made a very good point here. He said, "Thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's goods," and this is owned by somebody else. And not only is it owned by them, but they've got commercial zoning. They should be able to put up with the heck ever they want to put up.
How about the mill property? Right. Our city's been coveting that.
Yeah.
Well, let me address that. Okay, It is not acceptable to me. I mean, the chips are down. The rubber is meeting the road. It is not acceptable to tell the patents that we can't do this. They can't do this project without proposing an alternative. Something has to give. It is not true that because you own a property, you can do anything you want with it. If you build in the United States, if you build in a small town, even if you build rurally, you have to obey the laws of the city and the laws of the state and the laws of the United States. And those laws say that if the community values a piece of land and decides that it serves the public interest, that the community always has the right to take that land if they pay fair market value to the owners. This is a law that goes back to English common law. Absolutely, you cannot come in and build a castle right in front of, or build an obstruction in front of anywhere. The community has an overriding interest, but the owner of the property must also be treated fairly. So let's not act like if we tell the patents that we don't want a development there, that we're just going to tell them to go fish. The city council, for one thing, is not going for that anymore. I've talked to all of them, and certainly some accommodation must be made to the patent's interest, and it doesn't look good. It's $4 million. at the end of the road. There are properties that need to be protected all along the coastline. It doesn't look that great for this property. The Coastal Commission is not going to step in and save it.
And nor should they.
Well, fine. But the people of Fort Bragg are going to do what the people of New York City did when they built Central Park. They're going to do what the people of Boston did way back when they built the Boston Commons. They're going to say the common interest, the right of our children to have green space, the right of our town to be beautiful.
You have plenty. There's plenty. What you're obviously missing is the tax benefits that this project will bring to the town.
I'll address that.
All right. Now, you want to take more land off the tax rolls?
Yes,
is that
I
what you're
do.
proposing?
Let me tell you why.
Kumbaya.
All right, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. That's a very business
district on the tax.
All right, no, I can knock down all his points. This is not a problem. The tax revenue would be there.
From what? From city land?
Yeah,
if the city owned it?
No, I'm saying that the tax revenue would come out of a big box store. You
you're right.
Get a few dimes.
Absolutely.
But if the city of Fort Bragg goes along in a way that we kind of look like they're going to, where they allow big box stores, little trashy developments.
This isn't a big box store. It's 15,000 square feet.
I'm looking at a picture of it. That's a big box store in California terms. That's what they mean when they talk about a big box store. We got a little tiny big box. It's not a little tiny big box store. It's not as big as Kmart was proposed, but it's a big ugly store filled with a parking lot. They're going to.
All right. Let's talk. Let's talk about Fort Bragg architecture for a minute. All right. All right. Commercial architecture in Fort Bragg, all right, has all the architectural ingenuity of a shoebox, all right?
I hear that.
No. Why does this project have to be? Yeah, everything's
I hear
square.
that a lot.
Everything looks like a
I
box.
hear that a lot, and I don't agree.
I mean,
let me answer. I hear that a lot, and I don't agree. I think that the little houses that are in Fort Bragg.
That's residential.
All right.
Let's talk commercial. Let's talk City Hall. Town hall. Let's talk the company store.
I like Fort Bragg, and I like the little.
I'm not saying I don't like. I'm just saying the
you don't
architecture.
even live here. How can you like it? But I like Fort Bragg, and although we are a bit squared off, the main thing about us is that we have space, and we're about to have access to the mill site, which is going to mean real space. It's going to mean that fence that kept us away from the ocean for these since 1857 or whenever it was, that's going to be gone. Let me talk about tax revenue, because we missed that point.
All right,
you're getting a little tax revenue out of this.
A lot of tax revenue.
Not a lot.
Plus sales tax.
Not a lot. It won't. It's not going to.
Is there on food?
Yeah.
When you buy food,
there isn't
like
any,
produce,
is there?
Unless if it's fast food. I thought
There's
food. So they're putting in a discount grocery store. So how much tax is really, unless they're getting it from the beer, wine, tobacco.
Well, let's look at it. Let's look at it a little closer. I don't care how much the tax is. Every dollar that somebody spends at grocery outlet is going straight out of town. They're going to take that money and they're going to
locally owned.
Locally owned. You think the Pattons are local? They live in Santa Rosa and Monte Carlo.
They're
they don't live
fourth
around
generation.
They 4 generations ago they lived here. They live in Santa Rosa. They don't live anywhere near here.
They're a fourth generation.
I don't care if
family.
they are, and I don't care if they're locals. That is not a conclusatory argument, as the attorney
Well,
say.
I'm just saying.
Okay, fine. Let's say they're totally local. Let's say they live under my doorstep. They're
native Pomo.
No, they're not native Pomo. I'm not going that far. But I think that the Pattons deserve every respect, and I don't think that they've been respected. I think that the city is dithered.
They have not.
I think the city is dithered. I don't think they've been willing to make a decision. I don't think they've been willing to face their future as a city. But what I'm saying, let's deal with taxes. If we built a city that had the best green space possible, that's what I'm saying. It's not that this is going to be everything. It's the best we've got. It's a big green meadow, and we add that to our big green mill space.
That people can trespass on.
That's right. And I'm going to tell you how we can do it, how we can buy this property, how the community can own it. But if we take Pudding Creek, and we take the North Beach up above the Pudding Creek Bridge, and we take the mill site, and we take the Hare Creek property, everything we can preserve, if we do preserve it, it increases every value that we've got. It makes us a noble, decent city that has the brains to look around at the world and say, no, we're not going to have a bunch of big box commercial outlets. We're not going to have strip malls. We're going to have the most beautiful city that we can figure out how to make. And if you do that, property values will rise in the city of Fort Bragg. They'll rise far more than any petty taxes you get after selling spinach in cans. It'll make our city into a city. Most people in the city of Fort Bragg have low incomes, and high equity.
Well,
high equity.
Yeah.
They own their houses, and increasing the property value of the houses that we have in the city and making our city into something that is a world class. Let me tell you something, Paul. If we handle the Hare Creek project right, and we handle the mill site right, and we handle Pudding Creek right, we can make Fort Bragg into a world-renowned city. And when that happens, more prosperity comes here. I'm not even talking about tourist bucks. I don't even like tourists. I like our houses to increase in value. I want parks that make us into a city. No city that has been around, not Fort Bragg, not Charlotte, North Carolina, not New Orleans. Cities after they've been in existence for a while start realizing how important it is to have open space. A New Hampshire flatlander haystacker is trying to tell me how to run Fort Bragg, and I'm not taking it.
Pig farmer. Get it all. You guys want to take a quick break? I got to do my station ID, so...
Give me a chance to shut up for a minute.
All right, you guys are tuned to 107.7 KNYO-LP Fort Bragg, streaming on the web at knyo.org. This hour of programming underwritten by Dunlap Roofing, your premier roofing contractor on the Mendocino Coast, specializing in a full range of residential and commercial roofing services. Done once, done right. You can find them at dunlaproofing.com for more information, or phone them at 964-8735. Thanks, Steve and crew, for underwriting KNYO programming. License number 806498. I'm Joe Kidd. I'll be with you guys till 9 o'clock for the Wagner Variety Show, but right now we're going to continue on with Fort Bragg, USA. We're debating the Hare Creek Shopping Center with Rex Gresset and Paul McCarthy. You guys ready? Yeah. Round 2, ding. Okay. Oh, I got a bell. I got to make this official. I should have had this ready. Round 2.
Now, what I'd like to say is, all right, this pristine meadow, this where Julie Andrews goes hand in hand with the Von Trapp family singing whatever. All right,
it's just about that pretty when you go out there.
It is a commercial land. All right, it has. God knows where you people were. All the fruits and nuts, and I mean, I'm saying there are some concerned citizens, but with the other fruits and nuts that come rolling down the highway from the south.
Am I a fruit or a nut?
You're more of an anarchist, okay. You know. But why didn't they protest? You know, they're saying there's a water problem on the site. All right, what about a hotel? All right, now it has 43 rooms. All right, they do laundry and sheets every day. All right, now that's sucking up water.
You're still going back to our past errors.
No. Then we have our jacuzzis. Our jacuzzis in the room. A couple comes in, a honeymoon or doing the anniversary. They come for 3 days. They take a shower to get the road dust off them. Go out for summer eat. Come back. Go into the hot tub. Fill it up. There's 250 gallons anyway. All right. Have a little interlude. They're not going to be keeping the same. They're not going to baste in the same baby batter the next time they use it. All right, they're going to be draining it and filling it up again.
Can you elaborate on interlude? For me?
But I mean, this town has to realize, they're complaining about the water table. You allowed a water sucking motel. All right, an inn, whatever. All right, to go in without a peep,
Paul,
without a peep.
Paul, if you're going to let our past bad judgments define our future, that we're never going to get anywhere. We might have made a mistake with the hotel. I think we did. If what you say is true about water, although I'm not particularly against that hotel, we've still got a lot of green space that we can protect, and it doesn't look like the new development has the water that they need to put this over the.
All right, now compared to a hotel, all right. What does a grocery store need for water? All right, clean up on aisle 7.
Right.
All right.
Now, you're right.
Now compared to filling up a jacuzzi.
All right.
All right. Several times over a 3-day weekend, say.
All right. So what we do is we tear down the hotel and put up the grocery outlet.
No. Because check this out. Just another angle. Food isn't really taxed unless if it's hot food or if you're buying cigarettes, tobaccos, groceries. How many rooms are at Emerald Dolphin?
43 with
43. And they all pay TOT.
TOT. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, right. Transient occupancy.
But regardless of that.
And they all each have a flow bed in them. Maybe that's why they got in. Come to think of it, they each have a flow bed.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am sure that my articulate and intelligent friend Paul McCarthy, is able to string together an excellent series of arguments about why it is that we should follow a free market model and go ahead and develop. It's got to be fair to the owners. It's probably going to generate taxes. I don't think it does, but let's say for the sake of argument that it does generate taxes. Let's say it's lucrative to the city. It's not, but let's say that it is. When I say that, what I'm suggesting to you is that we start breaking rules. When we decided we were going to protect the patent project, and there were thousands of people that were in an uproar about it occurring, you're right, there were a lot of fruits and nuts, as you put it, my friends, and they were in an uproar. And when they decided they were going to stop it, they went to the public meetings, they wrote comments on the ERR, they got out, they did meetings in individual households, they did a lot of things to try and prevent the project. None of that is going to pay off. The Coastal Commission is not going to defend this property, and people that are hoping it will are what you can't say pissing in the wind, can you?
I don't care.
Okay, but they're pissing in the wind. The project is not about Hare Creek. The project is going to involve us taking a look at what kind of a city we really want to be. And they're going to pull the rug out from under our foot on Hare Creek. They're going to pull
They're not. They're following the law.
All right. They're going to pull the rug out from under the feet of the people that wanted protection, and they're going to do the same thing on the mill site.
Hey, I want to protect your truck.
I
don't want you to drive it because you might wear the tires out. It's the same thing. It's private property. You have nothing.
I'm not suggesting. I'm not suggesting we take it away from them in a holdup.
There are steps in the environmental review process that are being taken, all right?
And they're pointless steps. That whole process was a bunch of smoke and mirrors. The people of California in general feel that if they go down the road with their administrators, if they fill out the ERA comment form, somebody's going to read them. None of that is going to save none of that is going to save Hare Creek. None of it is going to affect the mill
nor
site.
should it.
Okay, fine. But the thing that will save Hare Creek, and the thing that will save the mill site, and the thing that will embrace Pudding Creek and our salmon runs and our green is if the people of Fort Bragg have a conversation, if they commune with their own souls.
Oh, here we go.
And say, what kind of a place? What kind of a place are we going to preserve?
You know what kind of place? A place where I could drive up from Elk and get cheap groceries.
That's right.
Ever since Albertsons bought Safeway 2 years ago, their prices have jacked up.
That's one option.
All right?
That's one option.
You know,
you can do that. You can recreate the world so that you can have convenience. So that you can
that's right.
And you can also recreate the world to protect those spaces that we cannot replace. If we turn our frontage, our coastal frontage property into publicly accessible land, we have made something out of the place that we live that many generations will be proud of.
All right, the fake hill, you could barely see the ocean. Driving up Highway 1, you can barely see. They moved the whole project because one of the fruits and nuts said that you could see a sliver of the ocean, all right?
Let me address that.
And they're worrying about traffic. There's a college on that road.
Right.
That hotel is on there. They tried, the original project tried to get a road through the, at the lights to make it a four-way, and Caltrans wouldn't allow them to access the property that way. That would be the solution to the whole thing.
Paul, what you're doing here is you're making the perfect the enemy of the good. I don't say that we haven't lost a lot of ground. We have. The city of Fort Bragg, the whole Todd's Point area, a lot of these places could have been protected better, but people were learning. They were figuring out how to do the park at Todd's Point. They were taking a look at their future. I'm not saying that we've done everything perfect so far, and I'm not saying that the patents have been treated correctly.
They haven't been.
Fine, I agree. But what I am saying is that this project, this enterprise, which arose spontaneously in the hearts of the people when they saw that big box shopping center going in.
It's not big box.
It's pretty big. And when I went to the first Planning Commission meeting where Teresa Rodriguez stood forward and voted against the party line, the first time I'd ever seen that happen in any Fort Bragg city government function, certainly the first time at the Planning Commission. When she did that, she gave the people of Fort Bragg a chance to do something about that property. You need to look into you're too far gone. Yeah. But the people of Fort Bragg.
It was a 2-2 vote. That's why it went to the.
That's right. Yeah, but normally there was no dissension at the Planning Commission. For her to raise a hand at all was unprecedented. But the conversation is about the eternal Fort Bragg. It's not about getting a quickie pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's not even about saving money on our grocery bill. It's about the kind of a city that we can build if we use imagination and courage and determination to preserve every damn thing that's green, as
Yes,
long
and
especially if it's inside the city limits.
Yes, and then we'll put everything, have the city owned everything, so no taxes will be paid.
I didn't suggest that.
So,
I didn't suggest that.
And you know what? We can make everything. We can put lean-tos up so they can make them extreme weather shelters.
Okay,
for the visiting transients.
Before you
let them enjoy it,
right,
rather than having an opportunity for people to get discounted foods. All right, cheaper than Safeway or Harvest Market. Let's just let the transients roll through town, let the tourists take over, and the people who live and work here will just muddle their way through their minimum wage jobs.
Well, I completely disagree, and I don't. And when people talk to me about the jobs that are available at grocery outlet, I kind of got to roll my eyes. I mean, if you can live on what they pay at grocery outlets sacking groceries, you're doing pretty good.
They probably pay the same as the people checking at the dollar store.
They do. And it's hard to live on that kind of money.
Relatively speaking, on the size of the project, is this building for the grocery outlet as big as, let's say, the dollar store? You know, that used to be.
It's like the size. It's like the size of Rite Aid.
Okay,
and it's not. It's not that it's an outsized project.
No,
it's not that it's a bad idea to sell groceries. It's not that capitalism sucks.
Yeah.
It's none of those things. It's that we have a dream. The people that have opened their eyes when they saw the patent project on the burner, when they saw that what they intended to do to us was the standard. That was the standard knee-jerk reaction by these passive-aggressive Mendo-lib.
You're going to catch some heat on your page.
Yeah. All right, fine.
Dreamers.
Well, fine. But but I say that the people that see the green, that see the fish, for example, you don't think we should protect the fish? You don't think we should protect the birds?
This mall is nowhere near Hare Creek.
All right, fine.
And I will say, I do have to admit they call it the Harebrained Creek Project. I mean, I got to laugh at that.
I did
but
too.
It's not. This is north of the traffic lights.
Yeah, but
all right?
Paul,
it's not near Hare Creek.
Paul,
and just like they say, it's a wildlife corridor.
Paul,
unless there's kangaroos here, there's a fence around the property.
Right.
It's not a wildlife carrier.
Actually, the last two residences on Bayview,
yeah.
One of them has literally, the guy's built deer fencing because he doesn't want them in his
Right.
yard.
Yeah, there's a lot of deer out there.
Yeah.
But I don't know where they're at,
Well,
what the price of eggs there is. But what I'm suggesting...
Well, that was one of the reasons not to build them all.
What I'm saying to you, Paul, is that you're going to win. They're going to put a shopping center in there
God.
unless if we trust the process, if we trust the ERI, if we trust the city manager to protect us, if we trust anybody, they're going to not protect us. They're not going to protect the land. They're not going to protect the mill site. They're not going to protect Pudding Creek. They're certainly not going to protect Hale Creek. None of these things is going to be protected. They're going to develop your project out there.
Yes,
they're going to put in big box, and they're going to do it to every other green and open space that they can, unless and only if the people of Fort Bragg say, look, we want to live in the most beautiful place that we can.
And trespass on someone else's property.
We're not trespassing.
Covet thy neighbor's goods.
All right, let me tell you what we should do.
Stay off the property. That's what you should do. Stay off their property.
No.
And don't put up your signs. Don't put up the signs where it says no signs, no banners. All right? Keep your banners off there. All right?
We haven't...
And now, how about this? The Welcome to Fort Bragg sign. It's sitting in the city yard. They can't even put up a sign.
Well, I don't know how to,
I don't know where
they're going to
What's up with that? They paid good money to a talented artist to design it and all that. The old signs still sitting
all right,
up. They don't even know how to welcome people of Fort Bragg.
All right, let's
try
and
need like $10,000 more to hire a post-hole digging contractor.
No, there's a couple of proposals where they want to put it. They're weighing their options. But the thing is that the value of a city, where does it come from? Where is the value in London? Where is the value in Paris?
The value is in the people who live there.
That's right. And the people who live there have a thing that they carry around with them because they live in that city. And that thing,
you don't think
let me finish. And that thing is called their standard of living. If you live in Vienna, you can go to the opera, a different opera every single night. If you live in London, there's unbelievable opportunities for theater. If you live in New York, there's a few things you can do. If you live in Fort Bragg, then we've got some things that you can do too. And they involve the things that we do here involve something that you can't get in New York. You can't get it in Vienna. You can't get it in London. We have stunning, unbelievable, crashing ocean surf pounding against our shores.
And this site is nowhere near it.
We have green grass that is proximate to the ocean. If it's not right on the ocean, I don't care. Anything that's green that we can legitimately obtain as a community trust, we should. Now, let's address how we might pull this off, because you're right. The city of Fort Bragg can't own it. The city of Fort Bragg can't do anything financially on the mill site or Pudding Creek or Hare Creek or any of it. There's no way that the city of Fort Bragg is going to step in and save us. They're not. Neither is the EIR. Neither is the Coastal Commission. Are you pointing at the clock?
No, I was just going to ask, how will they handle if the homeowners on the bluff form a homeowners association and sue when more wells go dry, if they do? And with that, I realize Paul has mentioned that a lot of that dirt came from
Why
the
are you
boatyard.
asking me? That's my side.
Well, another fact, too, is something
they can truck in water. If they have to, they can truck in water. Who cares where? I mean,
before we went on, I mentioned that, in hiking around with my dogs, I've seen a USGS geo marker on that knoll. So I'm not sure how many cubic yards of dirt were deposited from the boatyard, but part of that hill's got to be natural. If I saw
David Gurney found that marker and made that case, the same case that you're making.
If there was any problem with water, all right, talk to the hotel. They do laundry every day.
Well,
they put chemicals in the water to clean the jacuzzi.
The people around Bayview are on wells, though.
Well, if there's any problem with the wells.
Did it occur to you that when they put in that hotel, you might have had an irresponsible city council? That they might have used water that they didn't really have? I didn't mean to keep saying did it occur to you, like I'm battling you here. We're supposed to have a battle, Paul. But the same thing is true with the Hare Creek Shopping Center. The guy got shot down the last time because of water. It's likely.
No, it didn't get shut down because of water.
I heard that it did.
Well,
I heard the reason they stopped it.
No.
I know you've been doing research.
Yes, I have.
All right, well, go ahead and tell me.
It's like all you Mendo-lib, anarchists, socialists, whatever.
That's kind of a mischaracterization of me.
Well, I'm just saying. It's like the bleeding hearts.
Greens.
All right?
Call us greens. That's what we are.
All right, green. Yeah, let's not build anything. All right, let's go.
Let's protect it. Let's buy it ourselves and keep it open space. Let's let the turkeys be there.
That's why
let's let the deer be there.
That's why there's no more logging. That's why the fishing took. Now people are forced to work in the hospitality industry, catering to out of town tourists. All right, that's not right. This project's being held up. All right, and thank God. Caltrans is going to knock down the Albion Bridge. That'll occupy those people down there.
Yeah.
All right? They're having hearings on that starting
tomorrow.
Well,
it's not going to occupy them. It's not going to occupy them, and the people that are behind this project come from the whole coastline, all the way down to Albion and below, all the way down to Anchor Bay.
None of their business.
It absolutely is, because whatever is green, whatever is alive, whatever is precious.
Actually, by the time, though, you get to Albion, instead of driving up here for a grocery store, you might as well go to Food Max in Ukiah, because you can bop over on some of the other roads.
What I'm saying is people care, and they care because if we act with intelligence, if we preserve things that we can't bring back, once you do that grocery outlet, that baby is gone. And the restriction of our life, the restriction of our air, the restriction of our grass, the restriction of our animals has occurred, and it will never go back.
Yes, they can remediate that. They could level that and truck dirt like they did to start off with, and remake the hill if that would make you happy.
It wouldn't make me happy. The big box is out as far as I'm concerned. Now let me address how we might accomplish this miraculous dream that I'm suggesting, where we protected green spaces without having the city own it, because that's the point you should be trying to make.
Right.
That the city can't buy it.
No. Well, that idea's been tossed around for 27 years. They don't want it.
They can't do anything. They can't buy the Millside property. They can't buy Pudding Creek. They can't even take Pudding Creek for free, even if GP had give it to them. The city of Fort Bragg is a small financial entity. It is not capable of acquiring massive areas of land, they can't even mow the grass, let alone acquire them. However, in the state of California, we have a very advanced form of public land acquisition. Because, Paul, I don't know how they do it in New Hampshire.
Take it off the tax rolls.
I don't know how they do it in New Hampshire. But in California, we think of ourselves as being a great state. We think that socially that we have the most liberal and protecting laws. We think that legally we have the best public defenders. We think that we care about people in California, and that's what made California the great state that is, and the greatest in my opinion. And one of the things that we have is a passionate desire to protect the beauty of our state and not let it be dragged down the rat hole by a damn big box.
And this small store, these 3 small stores are nowhere near the ocean. The ocean, you couldn't hit it. You couldn't hit it with a pistol.
Yeah, I don't care. Right? It smells like the ocean. You can smell the ocean.
Yeah.
You can feel the ocean breezes. You can see the ocean from the top of the hill. You know you're near the ocean. You can hear it. And whether it's near the ocean or whether you can see it or whatever, I'm not advocating for it because it's near the ocean. I'm advocating because it's big, because it's green, because it makes us noble, because it puts us on the map as a world-class town that cares about its ocean access, and that's what's going to increase property values, and that's what's going to get it. Now, do you want me to tell me how we're going to buy this?
Well, let me just say this. If people want to go to the cliffs that are a quarter mile from this site, they can drive down to a park. All right,
across the street from my studio.
Then down south at Hare Creek itself, you can access it there. You can access the dunes north of town. You can. There's so much access. It's unbelievable.
You could say that about L.A. too. They cut down all the orchards. They cut down all the orange orchards. Well, heck, you can get to the beach. Go to Coney Island if you live out.
There's nothing around this site except a motel. All right, and a mini golf course, all right? In between them is a college, then a whole residential section, then cliffs.
Well, you might not like this property.
I love the property.
Okay,
I think it's a perfect place to put a nice Hare Creek project.
All right, so you think you like its future life.
It's not.
You like its future life as a big box.
Yeah.
What I like is the fact that it is open space. And that when you go there, you can walk out onto a windswept bluff.
Trespassing.
Not
trespassing. While you're trespassing on the property.
We have access.
Oh, no, you don't.
Yes, we do.
Considering the space, I got a question for both of you now that we've kind of determined the size isn't quite as big as maybe people say or is or whatever. Two points of interest is when Rotary or Lions Club or whoever sponsors a carnival. That used to, I mean, when I moved here, the carnivals were held where Denny's is because none of that was developed.
Right.
So, is there room for a carnival still? One, and is there room for our seasonal logging show?
Yes, there is.
No.
Yes, there is. If you look at the,
if you want to hold him in the parking lot.
Yes. If you hold this now, I love Rex Gresset. Don't get me wrong. He speaks from the heart. All right, but his head needs to go to the city planning department. All right, and look at the plans for the thing. All right, you can come by again. Here it is. This Rex, I'll show you the picture. Buildings. Right over here is where the logging show is.
What a drag!
It's still possible.
What a drag! What a drag to have the logging show in the parking lot of a big box. It certainly is.
It's over. It's on the green. North? It's on the green.
Oh, it's
section.
not. It's not on the parking lot. No. It's behind the parking lot.
It's behind.
And
behind section here.
Where are the dumpsters? Show me where the dumpsters are in that map.
They're hidden. They're hidden right in there.
So we don't have to look at the dumpsters.
You don't have to look at the dumpsters.
Well, that's a plus.
Yeah.
Identify north.
All right, that would be north. That would be
north.
south.
Okay.
Right,
so you can see the dumpsters from the highway, is what you're telling me.
No, you can't. It'll all be hit. I'll be shielded.
Oh yeah,
they're being very environmentally conscious with this project. They're going to be collecting rainwater. They're going to have permeable soil.
Yeah, well, you know what? What? We don't want it. We don't want it in Fort Bragg, and we don't care how it looks. I don't care if you paint the thing gold.
Well, that's what I mean.
Well,
that's what some of the critics like you want. You want a Taj Mahal.
No, what we want is a meadow. And that's what we got, and we're willing to fight for it. Yeah. Now, let me go on about how we might be able to pay for this, how we may be able to organize ourselves.
And while we're at it, could I have a pink pony and a...
so we've got 12 minutes to go, and I do want to hear what's this plan, because
I'm dying to hear this.
All right, let me talk about this. All right, we have in the state of California some of the most proactive public land acquisition laws in the world. We believe in California. We want to protect California as citizens. Those flatland hay shakers that we have from New Hampshire are not so onto that. But as Californians, we have a patriotism to the very flowers, to the very grass. And you can call me anything you want. I do love the turkeys. I do love the deer. and I do love trees, and I do want green space, and I am willing to be a fool to say that. If you think that it's a foolish thing to want an open meadow, I don't know what to tell you. But what I'm suggesting to you is that if the people of Fort Bragg disagree with that, I don't know whether they will or not, but if the people of Fort Bragg want a meadow, and if they want green space on the mill side, and if they want Pudding Creek to be an estuary, to be a wetland,
it is.
They're going to have to. Now, hear me on this. Yeah. They're going to have to accept the fact that the process that they've been selling us, the EIR and the city manager and the Coastal Commission, none of those people are going to do it.
I know. You said that for the 10th time. And now, what's the plan? Come on.
The plan is to organize to buy the properties that we want to buy as a separate land trust. The land trust cannot do it, but if you combine real estate, if you combine values that we're being able to that we're given, that we can acquire cheaply, and that we have to pay a lot for, and if you use that subsidiary land trust as a mechanism to negotiate, everybody on board agrees that the patents have to get their price. Nobody's arguing with that. Everybody understands that it's going to have to be paid for. But a subsidiary land trust can take full advantage of the laws of acquisition of public land in California, and because we have 3 separate properties that are under the hammer, and they are under the hammer. We haven't been told that they are, but they are. They're trying to turn the mill site into an industrial park.
Yeah, well,
and not many people know about it.
No, I'm not saying that, but that's a different issue.
Fine, it is a different issue, but what's not a different issue is that we're not going to have any of it. We're going to go right the direction you want us to go. We're going to have a big box store. We're going to have a parking lot. We're going to have to ride our big wheels around in a paved parking lot instead of a meadow.
There's plenty of coastal access.
There sure is.
It's not. You're making.
There sure is. There's plenty of coastal access, and there's plenty of ways, and there's plenty of beach. But you know what, Paul? They're not making any more of it.
Yeah.
And you know what else? The coastal access that we're talking about here is not down the road. It's not up in Knyo. It's not down in Mendocino. It's at our literal doorsteps.
There's no doubt about it.
It's part of making Fort Bragg into an experience that everybody in the country will commend us for having. They will say, yes, it's a town where you can smell the air.
Well, you'll be able to smell the air. It's going to be
Through
a clean.
It's going to be.
It's going to be a clean project. All right. It's going to look. Think of all your kumbaya. Cogeneration, probably solar panels. I know they have an impermeable ground.
I don't care about any of that. I want meadows.
Yeah, and you know what? We'll buy it. All right,
we're gonna buy it.
And you know what? If I was the owner of that, I would throw up a fence so big it would make Pelican Bay. All right. Look like Kelly's daycare center.
It's okay.
All right? I would forbid people to go on because it's people like you would go on the property, fall down, say they got hurt, and sue in an attempt to get the property.
Good point. Liability.
Liability. I say fence it up. Fence it up now before some wingnut from down south comes up here and tries to acquire it through.
We don't have any wingnuts up here.
You did bring up a very nice point, though, because if I go out there in my little Suzuki Samurai with my terriers and I'm out in the mud going wah bop bop, spinning mud, let's say I flip my Samurai on its side and break my arm, and let's say I am a jerk and I want to sue.
Yeah.
Well, there it is.
Yeah.
There's
There you go.
Well, that's true of any public park in the world.
Yeah.
Sure, but this is private.
This is private.
Well, so you're going to sue the pad. Look,
Yeah,
Paul,
exactly.
I'm just saying liability is a heavy liability.
Put up a great big chain link fence around that property. That's what GP did to us. That's what the Koch brothers did to us.
I recommend they do.
Okay, so you're
with razor wire.
So fine, let them put it up because the people that want that land to be a public heritage, to be something that we pass on.
Why should it be? It's not their land.
So
if they want,
they're willing to sell it.
They're willing to sell. They were willing to sell it in 1990 for a lot less. The city was not interested. They're not interested.
They may be willing to sell it for a lot less now.
Yeah,
but the thing is that what we
it's true that the gears are in motion. I mean, the project is being delayed. Right now, as of
the new EIR is in, right?
The prepare proof draft and public review draft was supposed to be due January 13th. I haven't seen that. Public review period was supposed to start March 1st.
Well, don't you people at home believe it? Because whatever they say about this deadline, whatever they say about the door closing, until they start digging, and even after that, if the people of Fort Bragg want to stop a project, they can stop a project. This is not about taking away money from the patent.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. No one has suggested that. And nobody thinks it's possible. It's not possible.
They
have their price. And if that price isn't met, then there's nothing that we can do.
That's right.
And that's not a problem to me.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting that with 3 properties lined up and linked together, if with an active citizenry committed to making a green, productive space out of our town instead of caving in to a big box store. Yes, it's going to take sacrifice. It's going to take money. It's going to take determination, and it's going to take.
And it's all not there.
You know what? I think it is. So many people came to those planning commission meetings. So many people rose up and spoke against this. So many people wrote comments on the EIR that I think it is there, but they've been duped into going along with the process, which is going to make them think that they've got a chance of stopping it until it's too damn late. In order to stop this process, we have to. All right, I'm going to go and I can continue talking.
We got about 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to hold on and talk to Rex here for a moment. So, just some other ideas too. Safeway's a big box store.
Right.
Safeway's actually been built 3 times.
Right.
Because Safeway was like in that little strip next to Redwood Liquors. Then it was where Purity Market, where the Johnson family has their home-owned, where all the money goes back into our community. And then it's on its current site, and it's a big box. And I mean, short of having Safeway gas pumps, it's about the biggest big box store there is.
Yeah,
here,
let's define big box. I don't mean big box by its size. It's a big box store even if it's a 7-Eleven. What I mean by a big box store is someplace where they truck in something that's made someplace else, take money from local people, and then ship that money off to someplace else. A big box store does not have a community-based route system. And if you spend money at Purity, the community will see that dollar 7 times.
Same with Harvest Market, I believe.
That's true at Harvest Market.
I believe even though Harvest has more organic stuff and their price, I'm not going to rip on Harvest Market, but the prices might be a little higher. And I think that might be one of the reasons that Safeway's market is higher because even I used to be married to a Safeway checker, and she says, our Safeway here is more expensive than where I used to work at Safeway.
But any Safeway, any big box, anything where you're colonizing the city of Fort Bragg is going to take more money out of the community than it pays us in taxes or pays us in wages. $46 million is coming out of Safeway every year. You think we're making that kind of money in checking thing? You got to work there 14 years before.
And is this new shopping? Is the large store? I'm not going to say big box. Is the large store? It's not going to have union employees. They're just going to be minimum wage checkers, right?
Probably.
Well, in case
Safeway has a union, but they don't do anything.
In case you're interested, grocery outlet they have organic food there. It's usually 60% below what others pay.
I have heard.
Not only that, they have when you're over 60, they have discounts. Sometimes 5 to 10% off the regular normal low prices on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
All right,
I'm thinking about the people who live here, not the transients. Or the vacationers that blow in. What about the people here that just want groceries at a reasonable price instead of being held up?
Well, first of all, there's some question about what the impact it's going to have on Safeway. So you might be causing more damage than you.
I think Safeway is causing their own problem.
Yeah, cry me a river on Safeway because they have the highest. Really high prices, yet if you know anybody that used to work under the old contracts, they made really great money. Yeah. Now you could work for Safeway for 10 years and still just be $2 over minimum wage.
Let's stake on the point, though. The question is about getting people food at a reasonable price, and I've heard nothing but good things about Grocery Outlet. And I met the people myself. I tried to get them to move into the Afanito building and had them up here on a tour, so I actually met them. Yeah. And they seem very reasonable. They're entrepreneurial, they're progressive, they're good American businessmen. I'm not saying that it's an advantage to us not to have Grocery Outlet. I'm saying that there's an overriding value at stake, that this is something that matters so critically to our to the perception that we will have of ourselves and that people will have of our city.
So what you're suggesting that maybe the Pattons should just leave that land fallow, and then go downtown and buy property and erect a project down there. They own property, but you want them to send them somewhere else.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting that I think there are options for Grocery Outlet besides the Patton project. However, I'm not saying any of that.
This
agree.
is the best use of that property.
Well,
We're almost out of time. You guys want to like do a minute each of like a closing argument?
No, I don't care about that. You let him do a minute of closing. I've got one thing to say. This is a gem, and in order to see that it is a gem, in order to preserve it through the into the future. It's like Yosemite. It's like Mount McKinley.
Oh,
it's like
please.
any public.
It's just like the Emerald Dolphin Motel, that water-sucking place that they put in on that property. They call themselves the jewel of the Mendocino coast.
Well, I didn't.
All right?
I'm
Yeah,
not defending the hotel. I'm defending the meadow. And I'm saying that what we do here is we preserve those places that are green, and we preserve them extravagantly.
Kumbaya.
And if it takes a sacrifice to do it, if we don't have the best groceries that we could have in order to preserve this land, that's a sacrifice. I think the people.
I'd like to say hi to Rowena McMahon back on the East Coast, and kumbaya, Rex, kumbaya. You know,
kumbaya.
let's go listen to some.
you.
Let's go listen to some James Taylor and Paul Simon, and have a campfire.
I can live with that.
All right. Well,
Good, Paul.
that was it, you guys. That was another edition of Fort Bragg, USA with a Hare Creek Shopping Center debate with Paul McCarthy and Rex Gresset. Thanks for stopping in, you guys. And thanks to everybody who tuned in through the internet, through knyo.org, and terrestrially at 107.7, way up on the right side of your FM dial. This is 107.7 KNYO LP Fort Bragg. The last hour brought to you by Dunlap Roofing, your premier roofing contractor on the Mendocino coast, specializing in a full range of residential and commercial roofing services. You can catch them on the internet. Done once, done right at dunlaproofing.com. Thanks, Stephen, for underwriting that crazy hour. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Now we're going to go full throttle into the Wagner Variety Show.